This is my setup. I'm not sure if it's going to work or not, all right, but here's a photograph of the tractor, the red tractor. I'm going to be putting it in the right-hand corner like that. And then I just need to do a little sketch here. What I'm going to do is take this tractor, and I am going to trace that. I'll take a graphite, I'll take a graphite underneath. I'll trace it out, make sure I get this tractor right. It's always good to get that part of it done like he wants it, because that's the thing he's really wanting to see. And then I'll just ad-lib around the outside of it. So I'll probably sketch in, maybe over in here on this corner, I'll start it and maybe I'll lay in a little bit of an old barn, rain roof barn, something like this. Drop it down. Maybe another attachment barn in the background going with it. Don't want to make it too busy, too complicated. Lean-to, maybe something like this in there. I do a lot of barns, so I'm pretty used to laying them up in there. It's always nice to do a little cupola or something like that up on the top up here, so I'll probably sketch that in. A little short one like that, just to give it balance there. So I'll throw the barn in the background. This is just going to be real hazy. I'm going to be putting stalks in here, lots of corn stalks and whatnot coming in across the top of this like this. This will all be corn stalks in here, laying up barn in the background. Then I'll be those trees that were in the original photograph. I'll lay in some out here on the top. So this is giving me a general idea how I want to place this thing. Sky's going to be in here real simple. So all I have to do now is just come in and do a little detail on my drawing here. I hope you can see it, not in your way. Little lean-to building here, right next to the barn. Sketch out. That's pretty much, I'll get it to about like this. This is all I'm going to really need to lay the drawing in. That's pretty nice. Come in here like this. Another one down. Just repeat what I just did on this building here, and I'm just going to put it in on top of the roof here. So we have this little cupola, maybe up here like that. Draw it out here, sketch it longer, a little bit longer here so I'm not so short. When I was younger, some of my old drawings, they're real tight, real short, usually real big. I don't know why. I just thought, if you make them bigger, they're better, but they're really not. My dad, being an artist, told me, he says, you don't need to make everything so big. He said, you're just kind of looking at this tractor. You don't need to look at this building back here. So the corn stalks, what I'm going to end up doing on this is I'm going to come in, I'll throw in some corn stalk, just real rough like this. I probably won't do too much of the drawing on that. I'll just kind of lay them in here, kind of balance it out as I go. The tractor is going to be sitting down on a field, so I'm going to have some grasses and whatnot coming through here like this. I'll track it up here and over here. So the main thing is I'm going to come and trace that out there. That's pretty much all I need to do with the sketch. What I'm going to do is throw a nice little soft sky in there, maybe just a drop down, maybe a little cloud so I can show you that. And then I'll do this real kind of hazy in the background, nothing real fancy. I want to concentrate right here on this part of the picture. And so that'll be my main part. And so I want to make sure that's nice and detailed. So I'm not going to bother you with watching me trace all this out there. I'll do it, and then I'll come back and show you what that's going to look like coming up. So I have the whole thing set up before I go. Okay, you can see that I went ahead and traced in the tractor here, put it in a spot that I would do. I softened up some of the background here because it's going to be very light in the background. I put a silo in there for balance. I'm going to do a river here of, if you will, of corn stalks in front, and then I'm going to pretty dark in the background up on top of here to bring out the tractor. It is a Farmall. It's a red tractor, and I'm going to try to get dark enough behind there to bring that red out. I am going to do some masking fluid that I'm going to use on the corn stalks. So that's my next step. I'm going to go ahead and put that in, and then from there we'll see how she looks. As you can see, I kind of put in some, and you might not be able to see it, it's kind of hard, but I used some PBO drawing gum, which is a masking fluid, And I'm going to use that in the corn stalks. Put some colors back there. When I peel that off, I'll get the white board back, and then I'll glaze it. Maybe mess around with a sponge on it. I'm going to do it a little bit better for you on just a close-up view of this. I hope you can see that, and at least you can see the drawing gum on there. So I'll do a sample piece here before I do it on the actual project. The first step that I'm going to do before I do any of that is going to go lay a sky in there. And it's going to be just a drop down sky that I do. Real plain, real simple. It's going to be very soft. What I like to do is just take, excuse me while I get in here. I'm going to do just a nice soft gray. What I'll do is I'll come down here on the sample board here. I'll start to lay the paint across the top like that, putting a little bit of pressure down as I go so I get that bead to develop right in here like this. I'm going to take water. I'm going to come right underneath that, and I'm just going to hit it, and I'm going to get this kind of a sky look going on in here. Real nice and gentle, real soft. I probably won't even have any of those kind of clouds. I might drop in a cloud. I doubt it. I want to keep it pretty soft, but you can drop in a cloud if I put pressure down on the board and put clouds in like that, bang it around. I might do a little something like that. Hopefully if I get that up in here, that would be nice, wouldn't it? So, I'm trying to make these quick kind of videos, quick little shots. So I'm going to come across here on the top of my tape line. I'm going to drop in my skyline, come across like this. A lot of pressure there so I can get that nice bead to develop. You can see it starting to develop now. And then I'm just going to come underneath with water, bring it down some. Get that nice and wet. I'm going to kind of paint through my barn over here on the corner because I want that to be kind of background. Keep that nice and soft in there. I'm going to have trees up in the far right hand corner. I don't have to do too much up in here. I don't have to worry about. So now I have the board sized. You can see there's some water on it. Now I'll try to drop in a couple. It's going to move pretty quickly because I'm working vertically, but if I just move too quickly. Let me take this down for a minute so I can go sideways with it. And I'm just going to kind of drop in a cloud in here like this. And I don't want to get too detailed with it. You can kind of see that little cloud form. And now I have to just kind of let it dry down. So I'm going to lay this flat for a while, let it dry, and then I'll come back in here and we'll do some more damage. Okay? I'm going to come in with the barn here. I'm going to put it in real soft there. So I'm going to do a little bit of it, obviously for the time restraint that I have on filming this thing under 3 minutes there. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. And I'll set it down, I'll finish it, and then I'll show you what the end result looks like. So I'm going to have my light coming from this way. So I'm going to come up here on the top. I'm going to use the same coloring, which is a real soft gray that I used in the sky. So I just want this part of the painting to just fade in, you know, so it's not overwhelming the tractor. You know, light's coming this way. It's going to cast a nice shadow here. If you painted with me before, you know I'm going to do that a lot. I use my brush two ways, fan it out, thin, fat. So I'll take that pencil line there. I'll hit it a little bit, a little shadow here. This will be the light side, the other side will be the dark. This cupola up here is very much the same as that. Pretty standard stuff, excuse me. I have to reach over to get the paint, so I'll get my head in the way. This will be the dark side of the building here, and you can see it's real kind of staying soft. I'm going to cast a nice shadow across here from that cupola. This is the dark side of the building here. I'm going to come down like this and just drop this in here. So I'm just going basically light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. This is the lean-to building underneath. This would be the dark side of it. I'm going to bring it right down in here so it fades in real well with the cornstalk. And I think I have it plenty light. I don't know if I have it too light. This would be another darker building here in the back. So you can kind of get the shape of that. I like to drop the paint and leave some of these marks fall down when I do this, so I get some water spots in there. This building here is going to be in back. I have a little bit of a shadow against that here. Just real gentle, real soft. You'll see me come in with the silo now. It's going to fall this way. It's cylinder. It'll fall down like that. And dark side here. Nice strike stroke. Got a hard line there, a little hard line here. Sometimes I just take my finger and move it like that. I'm going to take a little lightning rod up on the top of these guys here. This is a kind of a old kind of fashioned silo made out of wood. I'm going to put some planks in it. Come around here. This is the darker side. I'll just do a little silhouette. Hope my head's not in the way. Kind of get you like that. I might cast in a couple of boards here. Just drop my arm down straight like that. Nice straight line. I'll throw a shadow from this building across it like that. Come around here in the front, and I'm thinking I'll probably put some sort of fence in here. So I'm going to just kind of put an old farmer's fence in here, not real straight. A couple of posts maybe like that. Make it interesting. On the top here, because I want the building to stay nice and soft, I'm going to just kind of put in just a few kind of old raggedy, give it some character, the age of the building, so it can look a little bit, the shingles on the roof maybe a little damaged, that kind of thing. Just trying to drop it in here nice and light, nice touch. I'm going to come in the front here again, drop a board or two, one, two, kind of drop them in like that. So I've got my setup as my building goes. And I might do a little bit of detail on that, but I'm going to shut this off and I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, I'm back again. I came in, I added a few extras to it, as you can see in the building. I just gave it an extra coat of shadows, a little bit more detail, some soft trees in the background, and another fence down in here. Soft enough, and I'll probably mess around that as I go. When I get the rest of the things in there, I might go back and do something. I probably will remove it. I'll probably take a sponge and kind of soften it even more. But now I'm going to start to add some of the colors and get down here in front with the corn stalks. So what I'm planning on doing is, to give you an idea, I'm just going to drop in the colors like this. I'm going to just start to throw colors in. This is my yellow ochre. I'm not going to do it all yellow ochre, leave it like that. I might even put a touch of blue gray into it, something like that. I need some dark colors in there because we do have the masking fluid on there. We need to bring that out. The colors I'll be using is going to be like this. It's going to be cobalt blue Van Dyke brown mix with the yellow ochre. I'm going to come and add, I'll probably put in some of the brights, maybe a little bit more of my burnt siennas. And then I want to keep it very vague anyway. I don't want to get too detailed with it. I might do one or two where I actually get the cornstalk and do a little drawing, something like that, you know, get a little tighter. But that's the game plan. So that's the next step. So I'm going to start laying it in there now. So I'll come up in here just to start to get my yellows in. This whole section is going to be cornstalk, like I said, a whole river of it. Get up here on the top maybe and just kind of get it so it looks down and just real jagged. The nice thing about cornstalks is that, you know, when I see them, I see just a bunch of real cool color and nice movement because they're just so they're everywhere, you know. As I come into this, and I might do just a little bit here now and get back to just some of my darks colors as I'm getting towards the bottom. I want to get them a little bit darker, maybe a little bit on top for it. Throw one up a little bit higher and to save that barn. I don't know how much time I have. I'm trying to work this quick. Throw the dark in there, throw the dark in. You have to be patient here because you do have to let it dry up and before that biscuit comes off of there, and hopefully we catch some of that, give me some highlights. But there's the browns, and here's a little bit of that burnt sienna color. I love burnt sienna. It's one of my favorite colors, and mostly everybody likes burnt sienna. You can't really go wrong putting in cornstalks, I don't believe. You just kind of if you try not to make them too perfect, you know, that's the thing. People try to make it so perfect, they end up messing it up. But Dad always used to tell me that. He says, don't try to make it so perfect. People are going to know if you try to make it perfect. You know, if you just throw it in there like you're supposed to, he says, they'll think like, wow, this guy really knows what he's doing. I bet he could make it real perfect if he wanted to, but he's smart enough not to. You know, that kind of a thing. Anyway, it worked for him. Yeah, it's worked for me, you know. I've gotten to that point now. I'm getting older. And I've learned a lot, you know, and I know how to take my experience and put it into these projects. I know that when I come towards this tractor, here, I'm not going to get as detailed. I just want to start getting it a little bit darker towards the tractor so I can bring the tractor out. So I might have to put another coat on there. I'm going to get darker as I come down to the bottom here. I don't want it to overwhelm the tractor. So I'm going to get down in here, get up next to the tractor, maybe take some of this cornstalk over here roughly out a little bit like this, and that's a little bit more of the detail, and start to maybe fade it gradually over the tractor, like right in here. I'll get some cornstalk going on there so you can kind of see what's going on, and then I'll just kind of let it fade out there. It's going to be underneath the tractor, so it's going to be down in here. You'll see some of that cornstalk down in here. You're going to see it around the tires, and then I just want to get a little darker underneath. So that's my mixture of cobalt blue, Van Dyke brown, or you can use, I use Mission Gold paint, so I'm going to do a little negative paint here, go backwards so it looks like I get some highlights of the weeds going up. I'll try that for a minute. A little bit, and I just a little bit darker on this side of it, and let that light go back up there and fade up with the barn. You know, I just want the barn in the background. So I do want to get a little bit darker into here. And then I'll slowly start to bring some of that, get too carried away up there, a little bit of detail there. Then just mix all this junk up and throw it down here like this. Try not to be too even. I don't go straight across. I kind of like it, you know. Problem with this farmer, he's like going to look at it and say, wow, look at, my barn looks a lot better than that. My grass is cut and that. But I think this guy knows me pretty good, so he's like what I've done before. And sometimes, you know, painting's a whole different ball game than when real life goes. You gotta adjust. That's the fun of it. You can control it sometimes. Anyway, so there's the cornstalks. Before I go any further, I wanted to just show you, I came back in there with the cornstalks. Had a couple little details, not a lot, you know, just got a little darker in there. Then I wanted to wash that barn even back further so you can see the little speckles. Hopefully you can see that where I splattered in there to recess it, and just, you know, put it back further. And I'll show you. I just take the toothbrush here and I'll come in there and I'll start splattering like this. Get a lot of little splatter on there and just kind of let it do its own little thing there. Just kind of set that barn back in the background some. I didn't want to get it all the way up in the sky, but anyway, just wanted to let you see that. I'm going to have to let this thing dry down now. Now, I'm not going to take a lot of time to explain to you when it comes into the tractor. I'm going to put some trees in the background, and I'm going to put in the foreground here pretty quickly. So that'll be the next step. Let me get that set up. Okay. My next step is to go ahead and lay in, I want to put a background tree in here a little darker because it's a little closer to it. Start to put in some of the foreground there so I can eliminate some of this. I don't quite like all of that. So as I start the beginning of this, I go and grab some of my yellow ochre that I had up here before. I'm going to come down in here, just kind of lay some of this paint in, just kind of scribble it a little bit, get a little bit up here in the trees like that, I mean in the cornstalk rather. And I'm just going to kind of blend in some of this, get rid of some of all that busy action there. I am going to start to add a little bit of the greens to it when I'm laying this in, but the foreground here is going to be a little bit lighter in here in front of the tractor. Just kind of push that up and maybe grab a little bit more of this color down in here like that. I'll figure out what to do on the bottom here shortly. But I need to lay in this darker tree. And I'm going to add in some of the, it's a fall scene. So the trees are going to be, I'm going to have a little green, but more on the olive side, like the browner side. You'll see that kind of coloring come up in here. And I'm just going to come off this side here. I'm going to add a couple different shades. Get a little bit more, maybe a little more green. I don't want to get up too high, and I don't want to take up too much of the painting here. It's going to come off to here. I just need to get a tree coming off the side. So I lay that in, you can hear it. I'm going to be going around this umbrella, sun umbrella that he's left on the tractor. And then the edge spots, I'm just going to come in with the sponge, light sponge, like just give me a little dab here. See if I can get it to feather out a little, have that lacier look for the outside of the tree. I don't like the real heavy tree. And I'll lace it across here, and I don't want to interfere with the tractor too much, so hopefully I don't get too busy there. That's not too bad. I like the drip that's coming down there, that's pretty. Leave some of that white in between, and then I'll touch up the rest of this as I go along, but that's not so bad there. I'm going to take that same color that I've got here and add a little bit down in here. I'll just pull down that stroke so I can leave some of that light up in front. Get a little darker down here on the bottom of it, like so. Just tap, 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 so I have texture. Texture is very important, just like the little flickering stuff. And I'll come over here in the front, a little closer down in here. I'm going to get real deep under the tractor. Tractor will also have a really nice big shadow under it, so I want to leave some light up here in front. Push that sponge up. As you can see, I can push it up, make grass like that. Probably bring that up a little bit higher here, right behind that tractor. So, all in all, things are looking pretty sweet. You know, you gotta just watch that you don't get carried away, get too busy with it. I'll need to mix up some more paint here and kind of rearrange coming around the tractor here. A little bit more of the green. Just dab it, get around that umbrella. And leave myself some room so I can still see that tractor nice and clean. I don't want to get too carried away over in here, so I have to hand paint this with the brush. You know, get a little bit of this little leaf in there like that. And I think I'll come in maybe down here on the side, bring it down, the trees all the way down in here, but I think I'll end it as I come into here, a little under the umbrella, and then I'll just end it so I can see the rest of the tractor as I come down into this spot. So just a lot of little stuff going on in there. I'll get real nice and dark in here, but for right now, that'll do the trick. The sponge always works better to make it kind of blend in. All right, let's leave that as is. Sometimes you just got to stop working on it. That's what I tell everybody, but I still do it. All right. Buddy, getting down to the nitty-gritty here. What I'm going to do is finish up doing the tractor. When I do the tractor, what I'm going to do is start putting in my underneath shadows. So I'm going to be mixing like cobalt blue, Van Dyke brown. You can use ultramarine blue, Van Dyke brown, either one of them. Get a nice shade of gray. I like to tend to go more towards the bluish side of the gray than the brown, so I'll use more blue paint. And I'll start putting in all the shadows that's in the tractor and the wheels and stuff. They're going to be awful dark, so I don't have to do too much with that. Shadows underneath that umbrella that's up there. And I'm also going to, now I think I have the masking fluid on it, if you remember right. You can't really see it a whole lot, so I'm going to show you. I'm going to take some of that off, just use my fingers here, and you'll start to see the highlights of some of those corn stalks come out. I didn't do too much, very haphazard when I put them in there. Hopefully they look okay. And then I'll probably glaze that with a yellow, you know, give them that cornstalk look. So we've got that down there. I like to use my hands because you can feel how much you've got off of there, you know. I'll probably end up coming in there, and after I do this kind of work here, I'm not going to go through the whole process because it just takes too long. But I'll start to fill this in. I'll bring it back and show you what it looks like with the shadows in there. And then I'll glaze these corn stalks. I'll probably splatter a little bit more on the bottom section of it here. Underneath this tractor will be a real heavy dark shadow to bring it forward. I like everything else that's going on with it, and hopefully you guys will too. Okay, as you can see, I went ahead and put in the grays, the blacks, and did everything on the tractor my underneath shadow color that I wanted to do. And now all I have to do is kind of glaze over this. I'm going to do a little slight glaze over this with my yellow, and just kind of get some of those brights out of there, drop in some of this yellow color. Maybe dot a couple things like this in there for the, for the corn stalks. So this is my white tempera, permanent gouache rather, not tempera, but permanent gouache that I mixed with yellow to put a little bit of highlight in there. I'm going to rinse this out here pretty soon and glaze over the rest of it. There you go, excuse me. So now I take my yellow ochre, little yellow ochre, more transparent, so I can glaze over the tops of the corn stalks here and give it a little yellow. It's almost like a yellow ochre, raw sienna kind of coloring for the corn stalks. I leave a little bit of white highlight in there, real nice and simple and soft, I hope. It looks right. And that'll give me the corn stalks in the picture that I wanted. Again, I didn't want to get too detailed with this part of it because you have to watch. One of the problems people they do is they think they have to paint everything. They have to get everything done perfectly. And the idea is to concentrate on one thing. The rest of it's just all the, it leads you into this, If you start painting every little detail, if I put every little corn stalk there with the ear of corn in there, with every little pebble of the corn in there, and it's just too much. So basically all you have to do is that. I'm gonna go lay a little bit of this tractor color on here now, and this is just a mixture of it's pretty red and orange, so I am doing a combination of color with alizarin crimson and vermilion. And basic thing here is just kind of go back over everything I did, and it's a glaze, so therefore you're trying to keep your touch nice and soft. Don't put too much pressure down. You don't want to eliminate all of that coloring that you did. You're just glazing over your grays and try not to get to the point where you bleed them out too much so it blends the paint too much. So this is the color that I chose. I think it looks pretty good with this, and just got to kind of go over this, coat it down a little, refer to my photograph over there, so I make sure I'm getting this down right. I'm pretty sure I remember what I'm supposed to do here. I'm getting the color down. I'm going to do the same thing with underneath the umbrella here. And so I am going to leave you for a minute, finish this up. I'll come back here and show you what it looks like at this point. Then I'll add the last splash. I'll probably mix some toothbrush up with some white and yellow, and just to soften up some of the grasses and stuff underneath. So I'll be back here in a second. All right, well, I went ahead and glazed the rest of it up. The last thing I'm going to do is just kind of soften up this on the bottom with the toothbrush splatter. I like to take my toothbrush. I use it a bunch of different ways. I might give some grasses going up like this, little highlight in the grass there. Just take my finger and kind of rub it in, kind of shove some of this out of the way there. I like that look, especially if I can get it up against that darker area right in there. Maybe right around the wheel here, a little of that underneath the tractor. So I'm just kind of scraping the side of my toothbrush, taking my fingers and just kind of jamming them in, kind of softening up the edges of everything like that. And I will splatter a little bit, so I'm taking a toothbrush and I'm flicking it with my forefinger. Let me regroup here. Shake out the excess so I can get a couple bigger spots and just soften up the base of it. Right in here like that. You can see ground cover there where I had it dark before. I got a little darker there. Now I'm going to soften it up. I'll splatter a little bit in here to soften. And I'd say that this looks pretty nice. I'm real pleased with I hope you guys liked it, and I hope he'll like it. The gentleman I'm doing it for, it's be interesting to see what he thinks. He didn't know I was going to do a YouTube of this, and so that might be interesting. You can see how I painted it anyway. Off of there. set it back up for you. One more last shot. See what it looks like with the white around it. Kind of always like, for me, the end of the painting is like when I get to do this and get to really see it, you know, with nothing around it that distracts me from it, and I think it looks, there you go. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So I just started the YouTube thing here, and I'm going to start doing more of these kind of things, little small snippets of paintings, and I'll be posting that. So if you go on to my website at plumcheck.com, you can check it out. It'll be on there. But if you just go to my YouTube channel, which is Mark Plumcheck at playthink.com, you can check it out on there. Go to YouTube. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and you know, let me know. Have any comments? Send them out to me. Thank you.